So hello everybody and welcome to the yearly Q&A for 2021. I cannot believe that another year has rolled over already. Like, what even happened? My god. So the first question comes from Mr. Dark of Lemons. Most of my favorite frames in the game are summoners, controllers like Nyx, Revenant, Zaku, Titania, but I'm not going to lie, I feel like I'm very unsatisfied by summoners or most characters with pets. I haven't tried Caliban yet, but I already know I'm going to build him for duration to get most of my sentient usage. Point is, I feel like Warframe deserves a true summoner. I feel like New War brought up the closest thing to the summoner with Viso, which was ironically the funnest character to play as from the quest. So question is, are you satisfied by Warframe summoner/pet characters? Absolutely not. The best thing we have right now is Wukong's Celestial Twin, and the main reason for that is AI. You can equip it with any weapon you want and it has hyper-aggressive AI. And I unfortunately think we are never going to get anything anywhere near as good as Celestial Twin or I suppose Excalibur Umbra's passive. DE are absolutely terrified of giving us any means of automation when it comes to farming. And as a result of that, the vast majority of summons or pets or, companions, whatever you want to call them, are just bad. Right? They're either melee, so they spend the vast majority of their time fumbling about trying to get to the enemies, or they have terrible damage. In general, their AI is very bad and they stay too close to you and are not aggressive enough, or they're on a very short time limit. Just look at our newest example, Caliban. They had a bunch of different sentients to choose from, yet they chose Conquelists, the melee ones. It would have been much better if they gave us at least one Battlist. But anyway, I really don't think it's ever gonna be any good because, as I said already, I thoroughly believe they are terrified of giving us any means of automation when it comes to killing stuff. Next question comes from .pot, and these are apparently all very long. So as fun as Warframe is, do you think something needs to change in their formula for releases of new content in order to maintain the interest in the game? Because they've added ships, mechs, open worlds, the focus system, your operator, but recently it's mostly just been, like a new frame or a new weapon, or a primed frame, that kind of stuff. It's basically been very formulaic. I genuinely don't know here. I am fairly happy with the way things are going, though as I've said multiple times before, I did prefer smaller, more frequent updates, basically the way it used to be, before Plains of Eidolon, that kind of stuff. I basically don't know what I want as the answer. It would be cool to get something new and exciting, right? Something that would shake up the gameplay a little bit, not provide a different type of gameplay like Railjack or Arcwing, but shake it up in small ways, but I for the life of me cannot tell you what it would be because I don't know. Next up we have, my goodness, Matthey van Houts? That's how I'm going to pronounce your name anyway. How can you make basically the exact same video every single time with the Warframe Weapon Encyclopedia and not burn out? The answer to that is, well, I don't. I do burn out. I try to avoid burning out as best as I can, but over the years I've realized that I just cannot make YouTube content the way I do without burning out. It just doesn't work. It's actually the main reason why I started the Warframe reviews again. I wanted something else that I can work on in case I get burnt out on the Encyclopedia, and I try to limit myself to one review a week so I don't burn out on that as well. I've become much better at spotting the early stages of burnout, so a lot of the time I can actually stop myself from burning out by focusing on something else for a while. Next on the list we have Gairn Spaghetti, okay. What will you be looking for story-wise in future quests? Which part of the Warframe story are the most intriguing to you at the moment? I know you're not normally very story-focused on this channel, but since the new war was such a big moment, it'd be interesting to know what you're looking forward to. I don't know. I really like the quests, I like to follow the storyline of these quest lines, but as far as the lore goes, no clue. I have some vague idea of how things work, but I never really got into the universe of Warframe. The most interesting thing to me, honestly, about the Warframe universe is the story surrounding Barakatir. But it would be nice to go into and explore the Tau system for sure. Next up we have Anarchy Gaming. Hello there. Highly curious, since you are putting form on almost everything because of the Encyclopedia series, what's your prediction for total forma used for everything? I would say about 1500. Yeah, about 1500 I would say. Next question comes from Lauren Max 2.0 and they ask, in your playlists, like Weapon Encyclopedia, use a sort of structure that probably makes things way faster since you don't have to really think too much what to do, but don't you ever get tired of the same structure? First of all, yes. it does help to have them structured because I know exactly what to do for every video, and it also makes sense, right? It's an Encyclopedia series, so I feel like it should have some sort of a structure to it. But it does unfortunately get boring after a while, which is why I like to spice it up by making what I call free flow videos like the recent Boreal's Busted Contempt. Next question, we have Zephyros West. What's your favorite wild animal that you couldn't own as a pet? Any kind of an owl. I would love to have an owl, but you should not own an owl. Next up, we have Monica Vix. One thing I'm curious about is more creative content. For example, Rethalius, I have no idea how to pronounce that, started doing his Ouroboros series, making lore for Warframes that don't have it. Have you thought about doing creative stuff within the Warframe universe or something else? Yes, 100%, but unfortunately, I'm not that kind of creative person. I would love to do it, but I just can't. I don't know how to. I've tried it multiple times, but I was never happy with the results, so it never saw the light of day. Moving on from that, we have Rao. Question for the Q&A. As a lad who was around for years, what year do you think was the best for Warframe in your opinion? Personally, I miss the days when Herakon was a viable relic farm. That is such a wild sentence to me, and most of you will not understand why. Some of you might, but when I think old school Herakon, I don't think a viable relic spot, I think fusion core farming. But yeah, I don't think I can answer that question properly because everything is at its best when it's new and you're seeing it for the first time and you're experiencing it for the first time and you're discovering all the things you can do in it. This is why literally everything in the world used to be better back in my day, you damn whippersnappers, right? But if I were to pick a point, I would say when they added infested excavation. I remember having a tremendous amount of fun in that. Next question comes from Mr. MCGamerCZ. Hello there. I know you are a big Souls fan. Are you looking forward to Elden Ring? And if yes, what are your thoughts? Jinak veselé Vánoce, krásné svátky. Děkuju. A tobě taky. And yes, I am very much looking forward to the Elden Ring, and my thoughts are... I try to avoid as much info about the game as possible to not have anything spoiled. Up next we have Shadu Donger. What are your top 3 Warframes that don't show up in videos? Also, if you drink alcohol, what's your favorite drink? For the Warframes, I would say Baruch, Nidus and Gara. The reason they don't show up and I mostly use Inaros, which is something people always ask about, is because he's just great for showcasing weapons. He has a ton of health, I don't have to worry about survivability, and I can just show the weapon. And as far as the alcohol question goes, I don't drink. I have a few drinks a year, but if I do, it's either gonna be Czech beer, Pilsner, or whiskey. Then we have a question from BT. Hello BT. Hi uncle. Question goes, are you satisfied with your current situation when it comes to content creating? And if not, what are you going to do about it, or what are your plans to change? I genuinely have no idea what I'm going to do in 2022. I want to continue the Warframe Open Encyclopedia and I want to do the Warframe reviews as well. But outside of that, no clue. It's basically just like whatever comes to mind is whatever will come out. I found that that's the best way for me to make content because as soon as I start to try and restrict myself in what I should focus on and what I can and can't do, that's where I start to get unhappy about content creation. Next question comes from Killa Senpai. If you could legitimately own any Warframe, which one would it be? Titania. 100%. Having the power of flight would be better than pretty much anything else. Up next, we have the Pope of Awesomeness with a question that is very surprising and I could not see it coming. Is the Mighty Seer your favorite weapon yet? It's been a year and I know it's growing on you. And no, absolutely not. It is the worst weapon in the game and no one should ever use it. Now, for a bit of context here, just in case you don't know, Mr. Pope of Awesomeness here has made it his life goal to make sure that everybody knows that the Mighty Seer is the best weapon of them all. You can go to any of my videos that I released this year and you will find him there praising the Mighty Seer. That's dedication right there. Next up we have Mr. Batuan Izdemir, I do believe that's pronounced. Hey MC, what is the thing with Warframe for you? Do you think there's a better alternative? For me, it's the weapons and the feels. They just feel good to fire, good to upgrade, etc. And yeah, it's definitely weapons and combat in general. For me in particular, it's melee. A lot of people find melee in Warframe boring, but if you really get into it, you learn the different combos and the timings and you mix them together, it's really satisfying. Next question comes from Barbatos Rex and he asks, are you interested in trying out the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV with an expanded free trial which you can play through the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heavensward expansion after level 60 for free with no restrictions on playtime? Now this might come as a bit of a surprise, but I did actually play through the free-to-play stuff in Final Fantasy XIV. I got to level 54, maybe 56. And while I did enjoy it, it was a little bit too slow for me. Not in terms of combat, I did actually enjoy the combat very much. I am a big fan of tap targeting MMOs and I'm kind of sad that they're dying out. But in terms of the story, it was just too slow. I constantly felt like I wanted to go faster and I had to force myself to slow down to not skip stuff. I just don't think I'm the right person for it because there is way too good of a story with way too much information for someone like me that just wants to play the game. This is why the MMO of choice for me over the last few years has been Elder Scrolls Online. Because, you know, there is a story, but you don't necessarily need to focus on it. You can just do other stuff. And when you feel like you want to do the story, you can jump in and do it. Next question comes from Oliver Jeffrey. Have you ever thought of doing collaborations with other Warframe YouTubers? And honestly, no, not really. I've been on 10 o'clock twice now, but I never really thought about doing collabs. I don't even know what we would do in those collabs. What would I possibly contribute to a YouTube collab? Like, seriously. Next we have Epic Monk 117. Hello there, Epic Monk. How do you like RimWorld? RimWorld is great. I've played it for a few hundred hours and it's such a wonderful story simulator. Like, if you've never played RimWorld, you need to play RimWorld. It's kind of like a Dwarf Fortress-esque story simulator colony management game, and the amount of stuff, the weird stuff that can happen in there is just unbelievable, especially since it has such good mod support. To give you an example of how ridiculous this game can be, my latest colony was basically, the idea behind it was that humanity was being wiped out by insects and mechanoids, so they just sort of got together, got all the best scientists and managed to create one celestial person that's immortal. But not in a sense where they can't die. They can die, but they will resurrect after a while. This person is basically meant to wipe out the insects and the mechanoids so that humanity can repopulate the planet again. So I start building up a bunker where he will research and build turrets and weapons and all that kind of stuff, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I hear a distress message from a female alien that's like a biotic caster that's being chased by someone and she wants to take shelter in the bunker. So I agree and I let her join the bunker. Now, this female alien is incredibly beautiful, okay? She actually has a trait that makes her beautiful. So my dude, the Celestial, immediately falls in love with her, and she falls in love with him. Now, the ideal legion of my main Celestial guy makes it so that he can't sleep in the same bed and does have sex with someone unless he's married to them. So I give her her own bed and everything's great. They're getting along, they're happy, everything's working really well, as I've said. After a few days, they end up getting married and I'm like, alright, now I can make them a big bedroom and they can get a double bed and be even happier because getting some loving in the game does boost the pawn's mood. So I construct this elaborate bedroom, I give them a grand bed, and then in the middle of the night, the Celestial suddenly dies. So I'm understandably like, wait, what just happened? And then I found out, after I studied the alien lady a little bit more, that she's a very particular type of alien that will kill their partner during sex and grow stronger. My guy, however, was not a quitter. He was a Celestial after all, so as long as he had a body, he would resurrect. So what ensued was this vicious cycle where they would have sex, during which he would die, then she would drag him to the freezer so he doesn't rot away, then he would resurrect, she would drag him back to the bed, and before he would regain full consciousness, she would sex him to death again. And the best part about it, he loved it. He was in heaven the entire time. So what I ended up doing is actually building a freezer next to the bedroom so she wouldn't have to haul him all the way to the corpse freezer next to the kitchen and maybe accidentally butcher him. That right there is just premium RimWorld. Next question is from Lino E. Do you have a dog or a cat? And if you do, what is their name? I don't, but I do have a cockatiel. His name is Birdman and you can sometimes hear him in the background just chirping away. And the final question for the 2021 Q&A, on your second channel, why did you stop the Minecraft series? I stopped it because I just didn't enjoy it anymore. This is a thing that happens a lot with me. I just enjoy something on my own, then I try to make videos out of it, and it just absolutely kills it for me. And that is pretty much it. So I thank you very much for, I suppose, listening this time around, guys. And I will see you next time on Monday. Probably.